All right, Rand, it's that time of the show. Number one on our list of running backs, the consensus with the first pick, summer scouting, Jeremiyah Love out of Notre Dame. Battled injuries last year, 602, 12 unofficially. I have a first round grade on him as we sit here. He obviously plays running back, but they can line him up outside. He can play in the slot. You can put him anywhere. 10,500 in high school, so that's a little faster than some of the other guys we talked about. Also a long jumper. That athleticism shows on tape. I thought that his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield made him even more dynamic. And it's hard to come up with a comp for him, so I won't do that right now. But let's start here. In terms of the recent running backs taken in the first round, we can include Ashton Jeanty, who was drafted this year, and Amari Hampton, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Bijan a couple of years ago, Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. Do you think he deserves to be in that conversation, or is he perhaps a tier below? And how much of the injury does affect your opinion of that?
Well, I mean, obviously we've seen him come back a little bit after the injury. We have footage of him playing post-injury, and that same explosiveness. I think it was in the playoff game where he had that big run or maybe just before. I don't remember which game it was, but he had that run coming off of the injury. That was a 90-something yard run, and so the speed and explosiveness is still there. So less of a concern. You just want to see him put it all together and play a full season. But I think he's a better back than Najee Harris. I think their styles are different. Najee was more of the Le'Veon Bell, patience, hard, rugged running, chain moving type. But this guy here has the explosiveness. Like you said, he's got very good size. He's got very good speed and acceleration. He can catch the ball well. There's a lot of things that he does really well. He finishes runs. He falls forward. He's patient. He's RB1. And before watching C.J. Baxter, it was Jeremiyah Love, and then it was a tier. Everybody else was a tier below. And I do think C.J. Baxter is a little bit closer, and will flirt with pushing Jeremiyah Love for RB1. But I think this guy's head above, the rest of the group. And again, 163 carries on the season and 17 rushing touchdowns. I think he had 20 total because I think he had 3 receiving. That says a lot about this guy's production in the amount of games that he played, I'm not a math major, but whatever the ratio is from carries to touchdowns, I believe it's pretty high, comparative to what everyone else has. So this guy's easily hands down RB1, and I don't, it won't be. I think he'll run the table from start to end as RB1. But I do think C.J. Baxter is going to push him.
So Marion Hampton was the 22nd overall pick, I believe, of the Chargers. Do you think that's the range? Because I think he's a little better than Omarion, but Omarion's a fantastic player, but I don't know if he's going to be 6th overall pick level like Ashton Jeanty was. But again, a year ago, we had Ashton Jeanty tied for 3rd, not you, but with the first pick folks. So it feels like bottom half of the first round as we sit here. Does that sound closer to the truth? Again, 287 days before the draft?
I think probably by the end of it, just because of the value people put on running backs. Now, I will say this. If Ashton Jeanty, Omarion Hampton, and Quinshon Judkins in the second round and Travion Henderson in the second round, if those guys go out and have productive years, then these running backs are going to get bumped up, because people aren't going to wait and say, hey, we can always find a back. I do think this guy will go first round. I do think this guy probably has top 15 talent, if you're being honest. And I would say I agree with, even though I wasn't with the first pick last year, I didn't have Ashton Jeanty as a high-rated guy for me coming into the season either. But we see what a productive, crazy statistical year can do for you. So if Jeremiyah Love goes out and rushes for 1,800 yards and puts the ball in the paint 20 times this year, then he'll be in consideration for being a top 10 pick.
Fair enough. And, some of these questions are silly this time of year, but I'm just curious to your thought process as someone who's been in the league for nearly 2 decades. One of the notes I made, I want to get your thoughts on this, because sometimes we see running backs who, when they have to stop their feet behind the line of scrimmage, can't get going. That is not Jeremiyah Love. When his feet stop, he has to redirect. They get 0 to 60 at the very next step, it feels like. How important is that in terms of evaluating a running back to fit whatever your scheme may be? Because that feels like it solves some problems you don't have to worry about if you have a slow-footed running back who can't get going again once he has to stop.
No, that's key. That's the name of the game for the running back position, and that's what you talk about with. I'm looking at it now with Katron Allen. He doesn't have elite burst or top end speed when I'm speaking about Katron Allen, but he has good feet. And so
Mm.
he can get in and out and dance out of things. And for Katron Allen to be a bigger guy, he can create when there's nothing there and find a lane and bounce it. And this is what Jeremiah Love is. I mean, we had a guy like Derrick Henry who you knew you had to get to his fifth step to get going. And if you could stop his feet, then you had a better chance to tackle him.
Yeah. But I don't, fifth step, fourth step. If you got to the fifth step, you might as well just get out of the way because Derrick Henry is not someone you want to get in front of. By the way, we've talked about pass protection and these running backs not being great. Jeremiah Love will blow you up. Like if he sees a blitzing linebacker, he will pick him up and put him in the dirt. And I appreciate that. Again, to your point, you can coach these guys up to do that at the next level because they're not asked to do it a lot as feature backs in college. But I appreciated the fact that Jeremiah Love took that very seriously at his time at Notre Dame. So looking forward to that. All right, Ran, it was a good little stroll down running back memory lane, seeing you score your first touchdown. Maybe next show we'll show the 2006 touchdown in week 2 against the Texans. But that's it for our running backs. Going to continue the offensive line conversation next week. I think we're talking offensive linemen and tight ends in the summer scouting series with the first pick. So in case you missed it, quarterbacks in the podcast feed. Did wide receivers on Tuesday. Just did the running backs. In the meantime, you can check out With the First Pick wherever you get your podcast. Scan that QR code there. For Ran Carthon, I'm Ryan Wilson. Thanks to producers Ron. And thanks to all you guys who watch, listen, and comment. We will see you in the next one.